So we finished with the section of Mesilas Yesharim titled Zehirus, right? And technically now we should transition into Zrizus. So I hope to do that. But let's just first, we touched at the end of last year we talked about Azus, right? A person's kind of need or ability to be somewhat nasty to other people who are nasty to him about his avodas Hashem, and also just being strong in the presence of negative influences, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, and at least being aware of negative influences, and that was a mafsid to zehirus, to watchfulness, right? Well, how is it a mafsid to watchfulness? It's mafsid to watchfulness is that even though a person may be aware of the things that he's not doing, or the things that he's doing that are not right, but he's going to want to fit in, and therefore he's not going to give up on some of his bad midos or bad actions, right? Is that fair? Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see if we see something different in the tour. All right, the tour. This is the beginning, right? I'm always fascinated. Me personally, I'm always fascinated. How does somebody start off a sefer, right? What's the starting point? How do you jump off, right? Mm-hmm. So the tour is about to write this major Shulchan Aruch, right, which is going to encompass all avodas Hashem, so to speak, all the halachas of avodas Hashem. What is going to be his starting point, right? So actually, his chose as his starting point this Mishnah in Pirkei Avos of Yehuda ben Tema, right? So let's see how he says it. So he begins, Orach Chaim 1. Yehuda ben Tema, Yehuda ben Tema says, Havi az k'nemer, be bold as a leopard. Yes? Mm-hmm. Be bold as a leopard. I don't know why I just noticed it over here in Safari it's translated as panther, right? Which doesn't make sense because nomer means like spotted, mm-hmm. right? Nomer means having spots, and I don't think panthers are not spotted as far as I know. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyways, Havi az k'nemer. Be bold as a leopard, v'kal kanesher, and swift, right, and light, kanesher, as an eagle. Now, I'm not sure, okay, questionable if it's an eagle or not, but let's move on. Ratz katzvi, right, run like a tzvi, like a gazelle. V'gibor, carry, and be strong as a lion, right? So to do what? What do you need these qualities for? Lasois, to do Ritzoin avicha shebashamayim, to do the will of your Father in heaven. Good? Mm-hmm. So you need 4 of these qualities, right? Four of these qualities to do the will of your Father in heaven. So says the Torah. Parat arba dvarim. Over here he tells you 4 things. Ba'avodas habayir yisbarach, and the service of the Creator. V'hischil, what's the first thing you need? So I would have said something different, but he says, "Be'az kanemer." The first thing you need is azus. You need chutzpah. Okay, why? Lefishu klal gadol b'avodas habayir yisbarach. Because it's a general principle in avodas Hashem. Lefishu pa'amim odem chofetz la'asos mitzvah. Because sometimes a person wants to do a mitzvah, v'nimna me'la'asoisa, and he's prevented from doing it. Right? Mipnei bnei odem shemaligin elav, because of people that are making fun of him. Yeah? Valkain is here, so therefore Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema tells us, Shetoyis panecha, you should make your, be bold, be strong, be stubborn, kineged amaligin, in the face of those that are making fun of you. Valtimna milasois mitzvah, and do not hold back from doing the mitzvah. Right? If it's the right thing to do, you do it even in the face of those that knock you down. Okay, so that's the first thing. So meaning, according to the Torah, the way he understands the Mishnah, right? And when it comes to avodas Hashem, the biggest certainly one of the most primary impediments, if anything, is your surroundings. Okay, so even though by Ramchal, again, let's just juxtapose what we see in the Ramchal. Ramchal, it's also there in the beginning, right? But it's towards the end of Zehirus. It's not, in the very, right? It's not the first thing he tells you to do, right? The first thing is Chayvas Adam Ba'ilomai. Again, so maybe the Torah doesn't begin with that, right? Okay, fine. Is there another difference? Do you spot already another difference between the Tur and the Ramchal? So I spot another difference because, and maybe I'm doing this out of order, but he's about to tell us that, right, in the mitzvah of Zrizus, that Zrizus, it applies to positive commandments, and Zehirus applies to negative commandments, right? Zehirus is watching to make sure that you're not doing anything wrong, right? So in Ramchal's world, Az Kanemer belongs where? Belongs in making sure that you are not influenced negatively by your surroundings, by your company, right? That you're not forced to do something, right? To do something wrong. Is that what you see here in the Torah? I see not that in the Torah. What I see in the Torah is that you want to put on tefillin, somebody says, what are you putting these leather straps on, right? So it's the positive commandments, right? And the truth is, if you ask me now that I look at it, if you ask me who's right, I would go with the Torah. Why? Because because the end of the Mishnah says, "La sois ritzoyin avicha shebashmaim," to do the will of your Father in heaven. Again, it's not compelling, but it seems to be focused on the la sois, right? To do, meaning, right? These are the four qualities you need to carry out, to do the will. So to do, it seems like the actual positive. Okay, it's not compelling, but maybe it's not. Okay, let's continue. Good. V'chein amar Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and so that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says l'talmidov, right? This is the famous story, right? When the Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was passing away, his students came to visit him. He was sick, and he told them. He said they asked him for a bracha, and he told them, Hashem's will that you should have the fear of heaven to the level of basar v'dam, to the level of other people, right? Meaning you should be afraid of heaven as much as you're afraid of other people. And they said to him, "That's it, right? That's it. That's only that much." And he says, "Alavai, you should be on that level. That's already a huge level." V'cheinu emer linyan busha, and similarly it says with regards to busha, shame. Shipayim adam is bayish. Sometimes a person is embarrassed, that sometimes a person is more embarrassed in front of another human being than he is in front of the Creator, right? So those two, in the Torah's understanding, those are two separate features, right? Meaning, there's one feature is being fearful, right? Yiras Shamayim, or Moira Shamayim, or Moira of other people. That's one feature. And then there's another feature of being ashamed in company of other people. So the way he understands that Gemara, I always understood that Gemara and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, that when Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says you should have the same fear of heaven as you have of other people, I assumed he means shame. Right? I assumed Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai meant shame, just like you're, right? And I think Gemara is mashma that way, because the Gemara says, over there is an example. When a person does something, he thinks to himself, so nobody should see me. So I'm not sure, but over here he seems to be splitting it up because of the chein linyan bush. Okay, so I'm not sure. Okay, let's move on. Good. Al-Kain his here. So therefore, again, back to our Mishnah, right? Therefore, Rabbi Yehuda ben Tevma his here warns shetoyz mitzchacha. You should, make your forehead strong. In other words, you should go full force in the face of those that are making fun of you, of the haters, right? And do not get bashful. And similarly, that David HaMelech said, and I will discuss your testimonies neged melachim against the kings. And I will not be embarrassed, or I wasn't embarrassed. Really, what it means, right? And this pasuk was quoted by Ramchal, right? In other words, we said that sometimes you find yourself in those situations where you have no choice but to be surrounded with a company that's negative, and in that company you still have to make sure to stand to your principles, to stick to your guns, right? To speak to your to about things that you value, not speak about things necessarily that they value. Okay. Again, just speak out the obvious, just in case. Speak out the obvious. Again, we're talking in theory, right? We're talking in theory. In practice, nobody's saying that you have to go to a work meeting and start waving banners around about your Judaism. That's not going to win you any fans. Okay, so obviously, again, we're just saying that when the opportunity is that's what makes it so hard. You don't always know when to apply things. But obviously, we're just talking in theory. Okay. Again, it continues. Even though he was escaping from, right? So this is not. Yeah, you have this line. Do you have this line there?
Say it again.
After David the Melech, I will speak your testimonies against kings, and I'm not going to be embarrassed. You have that? What do you have after the words v'lo evoish? After David the Melech. V'chein Omer David
V'chein Omer David
right, v'adabra be'edeisecha neged malachim v'lo evoish. Okay, good. Af ki hoya nirdaf u'bayreich, even though he was escaping min ha'oiv de Galili means from the Goyim, basically. Hoya machzik b'teirasa, he was still holding strong to his Torah. V'loy made and learning afki hoya maligin alov, even though they were making fun of him. Okay, again, this is also very different from what the Ramchal told us. Because Ramchal said that, what is this pasuk referring to? Ramchal was saying that sometimes David HaMelech, even though he was a king, so therefore he was obligated to find himself in the company of other kings, and even though as a king he should now fit in with other kings, right? He made it a peer pressure thing, right? Ramchal made it into a peer pressure scene, right? The club of kings, right? But the Torah is saying this is really talking about before David HaMelech was a king. It seems to be talking about when he's running away and he's different, right? So but he still held on to his Torah no matter what, despite that he was persecution, right? So it's a very different scenario. It's not a question of peer pressure, right? It's more a question of life and death. Okay, all right, moving on. Then the Brisa continues, "V'Omer Kal Kanesha, you should be swift as an eagle, light as an eagle." Right? Keneged. So what is that talking about? So the Torah says, "Keneged Ru'us Ha'ayin." This is referring to the sense of sight. The sense of sight, meaning what? V'Dima Yisrael Nesher. He compares him, meaning this Oved Hashem. He compares him to a nesher, to an eagle, right? He has an Esher has good eyesight. He kasher an Esher shot pe'avir, when he flies up in heavens, kach, right? Kach huru usa'ayin. Similarly, he's referring to the sense of sight. Loimar, to tell you, sheta'atzim einecha mireis birah, that you should close your eyes and avoid looking into towards evil. Ki yitchilas ha'avera, because that's the beginning of avera. Sheha'ayin roya, the eye sees, v'alev choymed, and then the heart desires, u'kliya ma'isa goyrim, and then the rest of the body, which is the limbs of action, they complete the sin. Okay, so the second part of this brisa, of this Mishnah, is referring to again.
Nice.
Again, so the first one. So again, by az kanemer, he was talking about positive commandments, seemingly that you're going to afraid to do your positive commandments in the face of those that knock you down. This one is more referring to the negative commandments. Close your eyes, because through your eyes you're going to be led astray, right? So cut it off at the bud, so to speak, right? Nip it in the bud. Okay. Let's see. So what's the next quality? He skipped a quality, but he switches them around. The Omar Gibar Kari. Then you should be strong as a lion. So that's kinaged alev. That's in regards to your heart. Ki hagavura ba'avodas habayre is barach, because strength, when it comes to avodas habayre, the service of Hashem, hi belev, is in the heart. So it's telling you shetichazek libecha ba'avodosa. They should strengthen your heart in Hashem's service. Not clear what that means. There are many ways you could strengthen your heart. Again, does he mean the negative commandments, meaning your heart is desiring pull back, right? Or does it mean no, strengthen your heart so you could pursue, have courage to pursue the things that you need to pursue. And again, very similar to, right? What's the chazak? What's the strengthening of the heart here? That's not very clear. And that's also, heart is also a question of purity sometimes, right? Kavana, purity, right? You have kavana, intentionality. That's also related to heart, right? Tefillah, avodas shebelev, right?
Or desires.
What?
Desires.
Or right. So the desires, right? So that was the first option.
Right.
So three. I see three possible explanations that could be related to the heart. Maybe there's more, but those are the three that are of hand. Okay, fine. And then finally he says, "V'omer rotzke tzvi keneged haraglayim." Those are corresponding to the legs. That your legs, your feet, not your legs, your feet should run to do good. Okay, so not really what the way the tour, if you understand now, look at it together. The way the tour is viewing this brisa of Az Kanem or Kal Kanesh or Gibar, right? He's talking about really like Az is metzach, right? A certain body part is related to different of these midas, right? The forehead is related to azus, right? Then you have eyes, which are related to eyesight. Then you have your heart, right? And then you have your feet. So it's talking about from top down is what he's looking at. And that's why he switches the order from Gibor Kari to Ratz Tzvi, because Ratz Tzvi is lower down. So too, David the Melech was praying about these three. Ela Shishina has said that David the Melech switched the order. Ve'omer, and he said, Hadricheni b'nesiv mitzvaysecha, right? Take me on the road of the path of your mitzvahs. Ala haraglaim. That's what he's talking about. That's when he said that, he's talking about regards to the feet. Ve'omer achakach hat libi, right? Lean my heart, right? Ve'omer achach haver einai mirois shav, and remove from my eyes to see emptiness. Okay? V'hizker, and he says, B'lei v'toyo b'ayin ha'avar. Just hold on. Okay, I'm just going to skip a little bit. Okay, so he's learning from this David the Melech that a person should also daven, just like David the Melech is davening, that Hashem should carry him on the path of avodas Hashem. So carry him on the path with my legs, lean my heart, and withhold my eyes from seeing emptiness. So a person should also daven for Hashem to carry him for avodas Hashem. And then he says, L'chein tzorech ha'odam lehizgaber kari. So therefore, a person needs to strengthen himself like a lion. What do you need to strengthen like a lion? Anybody knows what the next words are? Next words are la'moid ba'boiker la'avodas b'oreh, to get up in the morning to serve your Creator. Right? And then he says, if it's winter, summer, whatever. Okay, let's stop here. We'll do more, but but that's the tour. Okay, that is the tour. How much of this makes it into the Shulchan Aruch, right? Right, the Shulchan Aruch takes the system of the tour, right, and he shortens it, right? How much of this makes it into the Shulchan Aruch? So the Shulchan Aruch, right? The Shulchan Aruch starts with one line, and that is Yizgaber Kari La'amoid B'Boiker. You should be strong like a lion to wake up in the morning, La'avodas Boirer, to serve your Creator. Okay, that's it, right? So that's it. That's all of this. After all of this introduction, how much of it the Shulchan Aruch took? Be strong as a lion to get up in the morning. That's it. Halacha Aleph. That's how the Shulchan Aruch begins his Halacha Aleph. Now the Ramah first brings in the pasuk of Shivisi Hashem Lenegdi Samid, right? That a person has an obligation to place Hashem in front of him all the time. Now, if you ask me, what's the best pasuk to start Shulchan Aruch with? To me, the Ramah speaks like just connects. Shivisi Hashem Lenegdi Samid. Start with, a relationship. God and me. Let's focus, right? Okay. But then he says, and then he explains that pasuk. Okay. And then he says, after he's introduced that, then and also a person should not be ashamed in front of people who are making fun of him. Hashem is Barach. Okay? That's how much he felt is important to bring back from the tour. So the Shulchan Aruch took from the tour is Gaber Kari, and the Ramah took from the tour Az Kanemer, right? Being strong as a number. Okay, good. So that's the tour. Now, with that alternative view in mind, we can continue back to Mesilas Yesharim in Zerizus. So let's see, where is that? That's page 113 in this section, right? You have 113? Yep. Okay. All right, let's go. So Achar Zehirus Yavoy Hazrizus. So after Zehirus will come Yavoy. Again, I don't know how they translate this by you, because Yavoy means would come. But they comes, right? So it's so I don't know how to translate it properly. Because if you translate comes after Zehirus comes Jesus, he's just telling me that in order of Midas, once you have achieved the Midah of Zehirus, now you can start working on the Midah of Zerizus. That's one translation. Or if he means to translate Achar Zehirus Yavoy Hazrizus, after Zehirus will come Zerizus, then he seems to be implying, and I think I like that version better, that Zehirus will naturally lead you into Zerizus. It will bring you closer to Zerizus. Not only that, I would say that Zehirus and Zerizus are not really two separate steps that are sort of, you got to finish one and then you do the other one. They're constantly like feeding off each other. They're like a really, they're really two parts. Two parts of the same thing, even though the Zehirus technically is going to come slightly first, because Sur Meira, first you got to remove from evil, Vasei Tov, and then you do good. But it doesn't mean you first Sur Meira completely until you can get to Asei Tov. No, it's a constant feedback loop. Sur Meira, Vasei Tov, Sur Meira, Vasei Tov. So you're constantly kind of oscillating between one and the other. So therefore, I think it's saying Achar as Zehirus, Yavoy Hazrizus really will come Zerizus, meaning once a person has worked on himself on Zehirus, which is part of it, is internalizing what he learned from Chovas Hodem Ba'olama, understanding how much his obligation in the world. So then it will also lead to his desire to perfect his Zehirus will naturally lead into the desire to perfect his Zerizus. But okay, what does Zerizus mean? Again, just making sure we understand. Zerizus means zeal, right? Again, I don't know what the translations are.
Alacrity.
Alacrity, right?
Diligence.
What?
Diligence.
Diligence. Okay, and I said zeal. Okay, so it's diligence, alacrity, and zeal. Okay, so it's all of those, all of the above. Okay. So he continues, "Ki hazihirus soiviv ala haloisa say," because the hirus is pivots on the ideas of loisa say, of the negative commandment. Hazrizus ala say, and the zrizus connects to the positive commandments. B'hainu, and that is sur mei ra v'asei tov, remove from ra v'asei tov and do good. The inyonai shel hazrizus mevur, and the idea behind zrizus is self-explanatory. It's clear. Shu hakdama lemitzvos, which is hakdama lemitzvos. Right, we're gonna have a Gemara. It's gonna say zrizi magdimim lemitzvos. Again, I don't know how to translate exactly magdimin. Magdimin means arrive before, right? Makdim, right? Kedem means east or prior, right? So magdimin is, again, they translate over here. What are they doing? Hastening. Okay. The other Mesilas Yesharim that I have translates it as advancing yourself towards mitzvahs. Okay. But in other words, Hakdama means, hastening is a good word. You run yourself to be there before the mitzvah, so to speak, appears, right? That's zrizus. So Hakdama lemitzvah. So the idea of zrizus is ha'hagdama lemitzvah, to jump at the opportunity, so to speak, of the mitzvahs, right? And to the completion or perfection of their of the mitzvahs. What's the word? Totality, right? So there's two parts to zrizus. Number one is jump to the start line, and then there's the second part, carry it to the finish line. Right, so hagdama lemitzvos means is the before, right? Hagdama means right prior. So it's jump to the start line, and then hashlama, complete, to bring to completion, to the finish line, to perfection, everything that entails. Right. So in other words, it's a project. A mitzvah is a project. You have to jump to the beginning of it, right? Initiate it right at the right time, and then carry it out all the way through to completion in all of its, what's the word? All of its requirements, to make sure that you fulfill it to the best way possible. Good. So that's zrizus. Okay. So again, I like the way he beautifully describes it. It's not doing it with energy. He didn't say. He said very clearly, defined it very clearly what it is, and that is jumping to the start of it and carrying it to the finish. Right. So because it's all of the above. Right. Just because a person jumps to do a mitzvah, that doesn't necessarily mean yet that he won the game, because he has to carry it out all the way to the finish, right? Okay, so that's the idea here. And like similarly, the sages said, zrizim magdimin lemitzvahs. The zrizim, the zealous ones, they hasten to do mitzvahs. Zrizim magdimin v'zeh. And that is, just like you need great intelligence, and deep contemplation, to save yourself from moikshe hayetzer, that means from the trappings of the yetzer, and to escape from evil, so that they should not dominate us, and in order to infiltrate and mix in with our actions. So too a person needs great intelligence and contemplation is to grasp onto the mitzvahs and to merit them, meaning not to merit, like meaning to make a kinyan in them, to make a it comes from the zchus, but it means, I think, lizkois means to, how do they translate over here? Acquire them, right? Okay, to acquire them. And to acquire them, and they should not lose them, right? So you need to contemplate how to grab a mitzvah acquire a mitzvah and not lose a mitzvah. Now, these are three different things. Okay, grab a mitzvah, acquire a mitzvah, and not lose a mitzvah. Just like the Yetzer Hara goes around and makes an effort, which with its stratagem, to capture a person with nets into the nets of sin. So too the Yetzer Hara makes an effort to prevent from a person doing the mitzvahs, and to lose them from him. Again, two separate things: to do them and to lose them. Meaning, you could do them and you can still lose them. That's what it sounds like. Meaning, I could start on the mitzvah, but again, if I don't carry that second part, if I don't carry it out to completion, I can still lose it. Right?
Regret doing it.
What? Not even regret doing it. Just a mitzvah requires meaning.
You wake up and
Right. Beautiful motion. Right, a beautiful motion. Right. You're a big tzaddik because you're sleeping at the Turud Vasikim meeting. Right. Okay. Anyway, so that's moving on. Right. So now v'im yisrape v'yisatzel, and so if a person weakens, becomes soft, v'yisatzel, becomes lazy, v'lo yischazik lirdof achareim, and does not strengthen himself to pursue after them, v'lismach bom, and then to support them. Right, to prevent, right, Yishoyer Na'ur, right, he's going to remain empty, v'reik, and empty, mehem bevadei, certainly will be left without any mitzvahs. Okay, all right, good. So what are we fighting against when it comes to zrizus? The Yetzer Hara that prevents us from getting to them and completing them. Right? Let's see if that plays out in the second paragraph. The second paragraph says, V'tira. Now you should see, Kiteva ha'odam kaved me'od. The nature of man is very heavy. Okay? The nature of man is very heavy. Now the truth is, it's not nature of man. It's the nature of the physical world that it always wants to be in the lowest state. I think this is like one of the first lessons in chemistry, right? That everything wants to move down to the lowest energy state. Right, that's built into the teva. That is the nature of the creation, which is again another reason why the creation should not be in a certain sense. I think because there is nothing that says creation, because creation means more energy than non-creation. Right, order means more energy than disorder. So therefore, why is there order? Right. There should be no order, but the bottom line is everything is in the creation, in the physical creation, everything is moving towards its lowest energy state. Okay, I think we're all fully familiar with this idea, right? Ki afrius, hachomrius, gas, because the earthliness and the gashmius, right? The chomrius, the physicality of it is gas, is very thick. Al kain lo yachpoitz ha'odam b'torach u'malacha. So therefore, a person does not desire neither effort nor labor, no work. A person is not interested in exertion. Person is not interested in exertion. So again, I'm going to stop here and ask you a question. So where is the Yetzer Hara? In the previous paragraph, he told me the Yetzer Hara is trying very hard to prevent us from doing mitzvahs. Over here, he's saying the very nature of a human being is laziness, is ofrius, is heavy. So, is that the Yetzer Hara? Our teva is our Yetzer Hara, or is Yetzer Hara something separate? I always understood Yetzer means inclination, right? Mm-hmm. So inclination means not just my natural state. It's more than my natural state. It's my natural state. What's the word? Amplified, right? Amplified in the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. That's the Yetzer, or you could have Yetzer Tov. I have also within me. There are some good things, and the Yetzer Tov amplifies my positive aspects of me, right? And yet, but over here, I'm not sure. Is that I'm saying? I'm not sure.
No, that's what it is. Like you wake up in the morning tired. You don't want to go to school. You don't want to go. You want to go to school, but just because I'm tired, it's like it makes a reasoning for. It's like you're not going out because you're tired. Because you're saying, because I'm tired, I'm not going.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I really don't know.
Just provides reasoning for your physical.
Let's see. Let's move on then. Okay, we're just gonna keep this big question in our minds. What is it? How much of the Yetzer Hara is just our intrinsic nature, and how much of it is some kind of like I don't know how to say it, some inner demon that's pulling our strings. Okay? And whoever wants to acquire the service of the Creator is neged tivoy. He has to strengthen himself. Right? He has to strengthen himself neged against his tivoy, against his nature, atzmoy of himself. V'yizgaber v'yizdaris. He has to make himself strong and make himself. What was the word? What was the word? Not alacrity. Alacrity. Okay. Because if he will allow himself into the hands of his heaviness, he will certainly not succeed. Right? So the heaviness to me, if like so it just switches, it bothers me so much. I don't know why, but it bothers me so much that he just switches from the first paragraph where it was framed in very much Yetzer Hara type of a definition to falling into your natural kveidusay. I mean that to me just that switch somehow just doesn't flow. Okay, but let's continue. This is our Mishnah now. V'huma she'omer Tana, and this is what the Tana says. Have a az kenemer. You should be bold as a leopard. V'kal kanesher, and light like an eagle. V'rotz katzvi, and run like a tzvi, like a gazelle. V'gibar kari, and strong as a lion. Lasat itzoyin avicha shebashamayim. Anybody wants to care to explain? What does he mean when he says, and this is what the Mishnah is saying? Which part of the Mishnah is he referring to? Right? Again, he just told me, what did he tell me? I have to fight my laziness. That's what he told me, right? So which part of the Mishnah tells me he's speaking about laziness? Right? It's not az kanemer, right? It's not bold as a leopard, because that we already used up in our previous chapter, right? So now we got three other options. Ratz katzvi, it's pretty good, running like a gazelle. That definitely requires zrizus, right? Definitely requires energy. V'gibar skip one. V'kal kanesh, swift as an eagle, certainly could be. Yeah. Swift as an eagle. V'ratz katzvi, run like a gazelle, also could be. And gibar kari, and strong as a lion, also could be. So any of those three could really work very well in the Zrizuz chapter. So does he mean all three, or does he mean Gibar Kari? At first, really, I thought, he's going in order. Az Kanemer he used up in the previous chapter. Now he's talking about Kal Kanesher, be swift as an eagle. That's what I thought. But except what leads me to believe otherwise is because he just told me in the previous sentence, he says, somebody who wants to acquire the service of his Creator, right? You have to strengthen yourself opposite your nature, right? So then Gibar Kari, right? Gibar Kari, right? And he says, because if you allow yourself to be lazy, right, in your heaviness, you're not going to succeed, and that's why the beginning of Shulchan Aruch is right with the part that he takes from the tours. Right, you got to strengthen yourself to wake up in the morning, right? That's gvura to go against your strength. Your strength, your strength to go against your nature. Your nature says, sleep a little, you got to fight it out. You got to have your strength and fight it off, right? So again, so Gibor Karif works very well, but he doesn't tell me. He doesn't tell me what he's talking about. So here on the bottom they bring from Becheskel Sarna. Now, and that really so beautiful, it's amazing. I didn't see this. Okay, look at the note number 10. You don't have it, Sasha, but look at note number 10. Rabbi Cheskel Sarna. So Rabbi Cheskel Sarna was a Rosh Yeshiva or Mashgiach. He was a Mashgiach in Hebron, I think, Panovich. I think Hebron from not so long ago. Okay, and he has like a small notes on Mesilas Yesharim. And so that's where this is coming from. So Rabbi Cheskel Sarna notes that the directive to be bold as a leopard was also cited at the end of the previous chapter with regard to Zehirus. So he explains that the instruction applies in both places. Do you understand what's happening here? Meaning, it's not, forget what I've said, this one was reserved already in previous chapter. No, all four of these things apply to Zrizus. And so he's not very different than the Tur. Right? Just like we saw by the Tur, we saw right away that the Tur seems to be applying the Mishnah to Zrizus, which is really what it sounds like. Right? So he's saying this Mishnah is talking about Zrizus. This Mishnah is about Zrizus. This Mishnah is not about Zehirus. Right? This Mishnah is about Zrizus. Be bold, right? Putting on tefillin, somebody's making put on tefillin anyways, right? So this Mishnah is all about Zrizus, right? One second, you just used it up in Zehirus, because it also applies in Zehirus too. In Zehirus also, we're like working backwards. It's just confusing because he told us, he introduced the Mishnah to us in Zehirus first, before we saw the Zrizus, so therefore it threw us off. But in reality, this Mishnah, even Ramchal agrees that this Mishnah is speaking about Zrizus and Zrizus only. It's just that the Azkanemer is also applicable to Zehirus, because you need the same quality of being able to stand up to your negative influence from your crowd. And that all comes from this quality of Azkanemer. Okay, beautiful. Again, it's not exactly like the Tur, because if you remember, the Tur said that the Kal Kanesher part is not talking about Zerizus, it's talking about Zehirus, really. Close your eyes before you get sucked in to do some Aveira, right? So so it's not exactly like the Tur, but now they're coming close. At least they're looking sort of with the same eyes. Okay, that's beautiful. And so too our sages counted things that require chizuk, strengthening, Torah u'maisim tovim. This is Torah and maisim tovim, right? These things need additional strengthening. Umikra molehu, and it's really a full pasuk. Chazak ve'amatz ma'oid, right? Strengthen yourself very much. Lishmor lasois, to keep and to do, or to keep to do. Kechol haTorah asher tzivcha Moshe avdi, like the entirety of Torah that you were commanded by Moshe, my servant. Because truly, right, a lot of strength is necessary for somebody who wants to completely overturn his nature to its absolute opposite, right? Because that's what Zerizus is working on. Zerizus is trying to make a person into an Olympic gymnast, right? Your body says, don't bend, right? Don't move, don't do anything. And Zerizus says, we're going to push and push and push until you are flexible and swift and and strong and swift and all of the qualities that we mentioned above. Okay, so let's stop here. Okay, so we didn't do much, but we kind of, I think we've been in a few different places, right? And the Tur, the Shulchan Aruch, and the Mesilas Yesharim, and hopefully it came together a bit. Okay.